writing a lot of questions. When I say that the cycle of abundance, a lot of people, there are some clients come back to me and say that whatever you say are most likely concepts, and basically means theories lah. And then they don't really experience it in their real life. Okay, so that's why I put up this section here to deal with that kind of questions. What if the things you really want never happen? And yet I keep telling you cycle of abundance. Got to give before it can come back. Okay, so are y'all ready? Let me touch on this. Are y'all keen to know the answers? Type something in the chat box. Right, good. Thank you. Thank you. Right. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Next. There are 3 timelines that each of us have that we use to organize our experience. Right? So why, just now the question, what if things you really want never happen? Most likely is because you have placed them on your impossible timeline. So back to these 3 timelines that I mentioned just now, we all have 3 timelines that we use to organize our experience. Number 1 is the inevitable timeline. Inevitable means sure will happen. Inevitable timeline is happening no matter what. This is the timeline that is happening no matter what. Like standing on the F1 racetrack, you have to move, right? When there's a F1 car coming towards you, you have to move. Why? Because if you don't move, it is inevitable that you'll be knocked down. So this is called inevitable timeline. Will happen no matter what. No matter what. Next timeline, second timeline is called conditional timeline. Conditional timeline basically means maybe. I might go to dinner next week, I might not. So maybe will happen, maybe will not happen. So that's a conditional timeline. The third timeline is called impossible timeline, where dreams will never happen. So a lot of us store things we really want on the impossible timeline. Maybe, for some, it could be writing a book. You have been thinking about writing a book. This is what you want to do, but it never materialized. Maybe, you have been wanting to start a business or to continue the business, but it never kick off because you put it on the impossible timeline. Maybe you're thinking about changing career, but it never take off because you put it on the impossible timeline. So it's like you want it, you see it, but you believe it's never going to happen. So it won't happen. No matter what I say earlier on in the earlier modules, talking about trust the system, trust the whatever, then back to yourself, you put it onto the wrong timeline. Now, it sounds cheap, but not to worry here. Okay, I'll try to simplify things for you. On the flip side, sometimes we put what we don't want on the inevitable timeline. I repeat, sometimes, I would say a lot of times, because we tend to self-sabotage ourselves. So we put what we don't want on the inevitable timeline. Examples. I don't want to fight with my partner, but it's bound to happen. I've seen clients telling me like that. It's not me. Okay, I don't want to have a fight with my partner. Okay, but I know it's bound to happen. You see, you put yourself, you put this kind of activities onto a inevitable timeline is that you don't want, but you know it will bound to happen. Then should happen or losing my job. It's a matter of time. You don't want to lose your job, but you keep telling yourself it's a matter of time. Then sooner or later you'll lose your job. So remember, we have 3 timelines that we use to store things. So here's your 1 degree shift. Basically, we want to find a way to move your true desires, your dreams, from impossible to inevitable. Instead of saying, I wish I could start a business one day, maybe you can say, I'm building my business now. Or no more, I wish already. So it's, I am building my business now. There's one way to so-called psycho yourself. But later on, we go into a guided practice to shift things between your timelines. Right? So instead of, I hope I can make more money someday, you can say, I am actively creating new income opportunities now. Right? So you put that, I hope, means it's like conditional timeline. It might happen, might not. So the moment you shift how you place it in your timeline, your brain starts finding ways to make it real. You remember in the I am manifesting system, if you have attended, I say that there's one brain filter in your mind called the RAS. It will help you to find all the things that you want, including money, including opportunity, including all the things that you want. But first, you must tell your RAS what you want first. So if you say that I hope I can make more money someday, it's like telling RAS, it may happen, it may not happen. Never mind lah. If you cannot find, then never mind lah. No, wrong way of training your RAS. Okay, so later on we go through a guided practice to help you shift things around. Right? So now here the question. What is one thing that you have put in the impossible timeline that you are ready to move to the inevitable timeline? Type in the chat box if you want to share. What is one thing that you think you have put it in the impossible timeline, but that is something that you want, okay, and that you are ready to move it to the inevitable? What is that one thing? Type in the chat box. Because I'm asking this so that I know I'm making you to think deep, surface the thing up, so that later when we go through the guided practice, you can use that to do it. Do you have? If you are not ready to share, at least type in the chat box, say, okay, I have found one, or I have one, I have two, I have three, something like that. But if you want to share what is that one thing you want to put ready to shift to the inevitable, feel free to share. And say, build my next 100K. Good. Build my next 100K. Anyone else? Very good. This one, very clear, precise, but only not time bound. Not time bound. So it could be build my next 100K in 10 years' time. Is that still okay with you? And right. So what if next 5 years? Okay. So and improve it to say build my next 100K in the next 5 years. Very good. Clear. Very clear. So what if the only thing standing between you and what you want is where you place it in time, in the timeline? So today, before we go for the break, we are going to train your energy to shift from stuck to flowing. So in just 3 easy steps of energy training. So step 1 basically is to help you locate the 3 timelines. Of course, now if I ask you where are all your 3 timelines, you won't tell me anything because you don't know also how to find the 3 timelines. Not to worry, the guided practice will help you find these 3 timelines. What are they? The inevitable timeline. I mean, things that will happen, no doubt, sure will happen, no matter what. The next timeline is called conditional timeline. Things might happen, might not. And the third one is called the impossible timeline. Things you believe will never happen. That is step 1, locate. Step 2 is to notice. Start noticing. Notice what you have stored on each timeline. Basically means do a stock take lah. On this inevitable timeline, what have I stored? Is it something that I want it to happen, or is it something that I don't want to happen? But on a inevitable timeline. Okay, so we will do a stock take on all these 3. So for example, is your dream career on the impossible timeline? Or is your financial struggle on the inevitable timeline? How about that long desired vacation or side business, side hustle, or the new home? Where are they placed? You know, and then after that, step three is to move things from one timeline to another. Basically, is to take something you want from the impossible timeline and shift it to the inevitable. Okay, or take something you fear from the inevitable and shift it away. Okay, if say master have different views, even though I never shift, I choose Wu Wei and it does happen as it is, what do you think? It's fine. Okay, it's fine. Just follow the Wu Wei. This you are fine. But for those who really want to take action one, then these are the three easy steps to follow. Yiling says, secure my 5 million total winning in year end 2025. Okay, good. Very clear. Good. 5 million total winning in year end 2025. Good. Okay. 好的. So, are you all ready for exercise 3? Right. So basically, actually, I want to ask you to pick one thing you have been telling yourself is impossible. So I think Anne has already given, Elaine has already given. So it is not like this is in, I want this, but you feel that it is impossible. Okay. Are you negative? No, you're not negative. If you're following Wu Wei, right? And you don't attach any emotion to the Wu Wei, that means you don't attach any expectation or any emotion to the Wu Wei. Whatever comes along, you just go with the flow. That is not considered negative. That is actually the the one that we should be emulating. Okay, so you're doing good if you're following Wu Wei, and if you are not attaching any expectation or any emotion to what might come, and then you're good to go. Is that okay? If okay, right. So before I go for a break, okay, we will go for this exercise 3. Are you all ready? Type yes in the chat box if you are. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, good. Thank you, everyone. So great. So today, in this exercise 3, I call it from impossible to inevitable. I want to take you through one of the most fascinating things about your brain in a very short exercise, exercise 3, that's going to allow you to move things that have felt impossible, those things that you have wanted for so long and wondered why you couldn't have them. We're going to take them and move them from impossible to inevitable. So, what you need to know is that we have 3 timelines that we use to organize our experience. First, we have the inevitable timeline. This is the one we believe certain things is happening. The second timeline is the one we call conditional timeline. This is a timeline where things might happen, might not. And then we have the third timeline called the impossible timeline. That is where we store things we believe they are never going to happen. So now our brains are tricky with this because we often store things that we really want, not on our impossible timeline. Right? So what we are going to do today is to create a little dashboard in your brain so that you can adjust things from these timelines. And I'm going to take you through 3 steps. Right? I've mentioned just now. The first is going to figure out just where you locate the 3 timelines. They're going to be different for every single person. So don't worry about where yours is. There's no right, no wrong. This is the first step. And come to the second step is going to be notice where things you want most are on your timeline. Which one are you storing the things you want and also the things that you don't want? Because sometimes we put things that we don't want on the inevitable timeline. And then the third step is to guide you how to move them from one timeline to the other. And so now, close your eyes, get comfortable, calm and relax. Take a deep breath in Exhale. So the first thing we're going to do is notice where we store those things in our lives that are inevitable. The way to find this is really simple. You might be having a little voice in your head that goes, "This is kind of crazy. No one told me this before. What is going on here?" Now, I just want to give you and give yourself permission to play around and see what shows up for you. So pick something that you know is going to happen. Something you absolutely know is going to happen. Example, that the sun is coming up tomorrow. That Christmas is coming in December. That March is around the corner. Whatever it is, something that you absolutely know is going to happen. For today, I'm going to use the sun as an example to guide you through. You're going to want to speak this out loud and say, "The sun will come up tomorrow." And I want you to notice as you say that where the origin of that is in your body. You may have to say this a few times. Notice where the strength or the source point is when you say that out. Now, for me, this shows up at the solar plexus area inside my body, kind of in the solar plexus area in my body. That does not mean it is the right place to show up. It does mean in my body that is where it shows up. So take a moment, say that as many times as you need to, whatever your phrase is, and notice where the experience shows up. So we are not rearranging the furniture in your house. We are just noticing where the inevitable timeline is already located. Next, we are going to the conditional timeline. Pick something you might do. So you're going to say, "I might go to the movie tomorrow," or whatever phrase that is you have. And I want you again to notice where that shows up in your body. Just notice where it is. For me, it is somewhere behind the ear, the eyes. Sorry, the eyes. Yours again is going to be somewhere different. No right, no wrong. Where it is, no right, no wrong. Just notice where it is for you. Next, we're going to find the things now that are on your impossible timeline. Now, this is the stuff that you want to or like, but you know it is impossible. This is like, it is impossible that dragon is going to walk into this room right now, right? I know that's not going to happen. Make something kind of crazy, right? And we are doing this in an extreme so that you can find the impossible timeline. So whatever the sentence is for you, notice where it is. Where is your impossible timeline? For me, the impossible timeline is somewhere outside my body, few inches away from my right eye. Notice where is it for you. So before we move on, can you notice how cool this is that you have just found 3 different places that you organize your experience that you never knew your brain was doing for you? Now, the second thing we're going to do here is to pick the goals that you already have. So whatever that might be for you, pick that goal that you already set or type into the chat box just now. For those who have not, that could be something that you want to do. For example, I want to lose 2 kg in the next 6 months, or I want to become financially independent, or I want to write a book, or I want to secure my 5 million total winning in year end 2025, whatever it may be. Okay, so as an example, I'm just going to use one that says I will be financially independent. So you pick one that fits you, and what we're going to do is we will move very quickly through these 3 different areas wherever you locate it. And what we are looking for is the place that this is the most at home for you. We want to see where it fits first. Huh? So all you are going to do is you're going to imagine this in your hand. You're going to hold your goal, and I want you to imagine putting it in each of these 3 places, one by one. So I will guide you through this, and we're going to put it in. So, and what we are looking for is sort of like a click. Oh yeah, so it's something like a click. Oh yes, that is the place. So we just want to see where it is. So go ahead, pick your sentence, that means your goal. And wherever you put your inevitable timeline, go ahead, put that goal there and see whether it clicks. Imagine it going in and seeing if you can get the, oh yeah, that's the place. Next, go ahead and try the conditional timeline. See if it clicks into that. Maybe, maybe not. And then try the impossible timeline. Notice for yourself where the goal shows up. So which of these 3 locations, you just have to figure out where you have been storing that goal that you want to happen. Now, some of you may have had experience of like, oh, I wish that wasn't there, but do not worry about it. We're going to put it right in a short while. We'll be taking this super fast bypass on the freeway around, having to work really hard and just let our brain do the work by shifting some gears here. So what we are going to do in just a moment is we are going to move your goal from wherever it was that you didn't want it towards inevitables. Before we do this, a couple of things to let you know first. Sometimes when there are money pains, we kind of don't want it to be inevitable yet. So if you notice there is some resistance moving it to inevitable, then you are going to want to notice what would need to change first to make this happen. We are going to take about a minute to go through, but I just don't want you to jump from one to the other. We actually need to move from the impossible to the conditional first, and then to the inevitable. So it is just like a little 1-degree shift, and it does not take us very long. But if you go straight from impossible to inevitable, sometimes it will snap right back. So we need that little step in between. And if you found that you were already in conditional, just hang with conditional first. We will go from conditional to inevitable in just a second. So, okay, so go ahead and find where your goal was. Locate it again. I'm going to start for those who found it in the impossible timeline first. Grab your goals with both hands, and we are going to move it into the place that was conditional for you. You may find yourself getting a little lightheaded. That's all right. It won't happen for everyone. It is all good. Now, when this becomes comfortable and easy on the conditional timeline, begin moving just a little closer to inevitable timeline slowly until it clicks. For those of you who are just starting with conditional, just let yourself have a few breaths here. Then we are going to move this from your conditional space into your inevitable timeline. So again, with your hands, move into that inevitable space. Imagine that goal just settling and coming home into a place where the only possibility is for this to become inevitable. And just breathe for a moment while these goals move into a place where action seems like the only option. So let yourself notice that the shift when you know that this is something that can and will happen. And take a few more breaths here. You can drop your hands if you like, or you can leave them just feeling the continued integration into the space of inevitability. In a moment, I'm going to ask you to do one additional thing, which is allow yourself to notice the next action, the next impulse that will make this feeling of inevitable become a reality for you. So start noticing the next action that you need to take to make this inevitable. That one small action. Example, if it was, I will create a course, it might be to write that draft course outline. Another example, if it is, I will ask for a raise, it might be to set a time to talk to your boss. Another example, if it is to get new clients, it might be to begin to write the pitch for your new clients. Whatever the next action is, just simply notice what it is. And I will ask you to take any small steps towards that you can when you complete this exercise. Congratulations on some really good work today. You're going to continue moving your goals into the place of more and more inevitable and more possibility until we see you again. So take a deep breath and open your eyes. Now share your experience with this guided exercise. If you have something to share, why all happened on my heart chakra? I feel it also happened on what question I asked. Correct, Master? Okay, so if it happens on you on the heart chakra for all the 3 timelines, it's fine. It's fine. Okay, there's no right or wrong answer. Okay, no hard and fast answers. So it just means that heart chakra basically means is the compassion place whereby you allow things to flow. I think you have mentioned that you allow things to flow. Wu Wei. So whether it is inevitable, whether it is conditional or impossible, all are collapsed into one spot. So therefore, you don't care whether it's impossible, whatever, you just follow the flow, and which is fine. Like I say, as long as you don't attach any expectation onto the outcome, onto the flow, and then you don't feel bad when things goes wrong, then you are there. So you are good. Okay, if you are good. So how about the rest? How do you feel? Type in the chat box so that I can give my comment. Anybody? Now, my advice to you is do this exercise regularly. Keep shifting. Okay, shifting from the impossible to the inevitable, even after this program ends. Because the moment you move your dreams to inevitable, life starts to rearrange itself to match what you want. So, what happens when you start shifting? When you trust the flow a little bit more, when you stop gripping money out of fear and start letting it circulate with confidence, you begin to see money not as something to control, but as something to dance with. Or like if like that, Wu Wei. And let's be real, trusting money isn't always easy because deep down, many of us are still carrying the money pains. Maybe it's the fear of never having enough, the guilt of spending, the resentment towards those who have it easy, the anxiety that money will disappear the moment you relax, and that is where we are headed next. Okay, so we go for a short break, and then when we come back, we'll go to module 6 called the money pain. So, what hidden money pains are still running your life?